While this is no doubt an emotional time for our people in the Twins organization, I'm confident that we will not lose motivation or momentum in writing what's going to be the next chapter of Twins baseball. We've got talented people. Their commitment is unwavering. And I think we've got an amazing opportunity in front of us here at this organization that frankly wouldn't have been possible without Derek Falvey's many contributions. So I'll leave it at that, and I'm happy to take questions.
Dan Hayes, do you want to kick this thing?
Sure. Tom,
Hey,
some
Dan.
people I've heard from so far are describing themselves as very surprised, blindsided. How did this all come together? So 2 weeks before you guys are ready to go to spring training.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been here, what, 6 weeks now, and naturally we've had a ton of work to do, but when both Derek and I haven't been, addressing the needs of the day to day, we've spent time talking about, our partnership and about the future of the organization. And I don't want to share all of our conversations, but ultimately we just came to the conclusion collectively that the needs of the organization are evolving. The vision is probably a little bit different than what it was before. The landscape is different, and that it's best for both of us if we make a change, and best for the Minnesota Twins.
Bobby?
Hey, Tom. When did you kind of realize this was the path it was headed? I mean, obviously, Twins Fest was last week. When did you kind of realize this is the outcome that was going to happen?
I mean, I'd say in the last 2 weeks we came to a decision.
Charles?
Yes, good morning, Tom. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing fine. I've always talked with Derek over his tenure about diversity in the front office and on the field.
Mhm.
So will that commitment still be existing when you make as you make these new changes? What I mean by that's not a very, you brought some people in, but it could be better. But are you a commitment for diversity still exists with the Twins, in your opinion?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think, that commitment to diversity runs, starts with, my family's values. And I think the Twins have always, held that as a top priority. And we're going to continue to, be taught that have that top of mind for us as we begin this search. We of course we're looking for the best candidate, but a lot goes into what the best who the best candidate is, and there's no question that we value a diversity of experience and background and thought, and so it will be top of mind for us.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Pat Borzy?
Yeah, Tom, you mentioned that the vision and the landscape are different now. In your eyes, how is it different?
Um, I think, I mean, listen, it's a today versus a year or two ago look really different as an organization. And frankly, like if I just think about the last 9 years of Derek's tenure here and how things have evolved, we've got a new ownership structure in place. There's a new leader from a family perspective. I think the competitive landscape, within Major League Baseball, from an economic standpoint, is different. And I think just where this organization is at today, and what we want to accomplish, and the level, the sense of urgency that we have, I think things are just different. And I think there's going to be a desire here to want to find the story, if you will, behind this story. And I just say this: sometimes things just run its course, and I think that there doesn't have to be anything wrong with that or anything salacious behind that. I think Derek has had an incredible run here at the Twins and accomplished as much as any other executive in baseball with this organization. And I think it's just time for both of us professionally and personally in this organization to move forward.
Matthew.
Yeah, kind of a question and a half. The main, primarily, to what extent is this maybe reflective of, Tom, how you intend to carry out your role, and maybe that having some redundance with what Derek had moved into over the last year? And to kind of go with that, to what extent maybe is it also reflective of some streamlining, and maybe you kind of preferring that your baseball ops guy reports directly to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an element here that is rooted in structure, right? So, like, as you saw in the press release, we believe that the best structure going forward is a president of business and a president of baseball, and we believe that those two. I think that's, I think what's best for this organization right now is all the energy and focus in those two departments being, 100% committed, if you will, and yes, there's an element here where, I'm a different leader and, in terms of, how I want to engage with this organization than the past. And so you wrap all those things together, and I think this is what's best moving forward.
Dave Campbell.
Hey, Tom, I wonder if you could just elaborate a little bit more on what you think the needs are of the organization, and I guess just sort of piggybacking off that, you do plan to hire a new baseball operations chief at some point?
No, we don't.
Oh, you don't?
So,
Okay.
yeah. So right now we're focused on a president business role. And so we'll begin that search today, if you will. As far as baseball goes, I think the beauty of the situation that we're in, Derek has done a lot of amazing things in this organization, but probably more than anything else, he's stocked this organization with talent. And I would tell you that if Jeremy Zoll won the job to be GM, a year ago or whenever that was, that should tell you something about Jeremy Zoll, because there's plenty of competition, was plenty of competition in this organization, outside of that, or this organization, for that role. And so I think Jeremy is, I'm 100% committed to him as being the right leader at this moment in time, and to assume, all of the responsibilities that Derek had with respect to baseball.
John Bonus.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about a new sense of urgency here. Is that, I mean, and that's, the organization also went through a fire sale just, a few months ago at the trade deadline. Is that something that can a team, with that is cutting payroll and going through a reset as they are, have that sense of urgency and expect to be competitive in 2026?
We will be competitive in 2026. Yes, I expect that. And I think, but the sense of urgency is about making sure that we start right this second getting after what the long-term plan is for this organization. And I've talked a lot recently about finding a way to build a business that can support a level of investment in the team 2 or 3 years from now, that can be playing competitive baseball for a string of seasons in a row. That's what we're trying to build. And I think 2026 is critical to that success. Yes, our payroll is down from last year. I think there's still investments to be made between now and opening day. And I'd also say that, at some point I'd love to get off this payroll thing for a second, and let's get, halfway through the year to the end of the year, and let's judge the success of this year on wins and losses, on whether we're playing meaningful baseball in September. And if we're doing that, I think we're going to be in a position to grow payroll the following year and the following year. And so that's what I hope we can start focusing on.
Betsy.
Hey, Tom, was there any thought to leaving Derek on as president of baseball operations and just replacing the business side, or did you felt you were like too far apart?
Far apart. Yeah, I mean, there was nothing far apart. We just, listen, we had a lot of conversations about a lot of different things and how this might work. And ultimately, we just came to the conclusion that what's best is for us to both move forward and part ways.
Pierre.
Tom, you mentioned the search for a new president of business operation begins now. Will you be looking for a candidate within the realm of Major League Baseball, outside of Major League Baseball? What exactly are you looking for in terms of a candidate and their background?
Yeah. Um, I can tell you that at a high level. I mean, we're still defining this role right now in many ways, but first and foremost, I'd say that somebody that values people and relationships is going to be important to us. I think this organization has a special culture. Dave St. Peter embodied that. Derek, built upon that. And we expect the next person to kind of be that same type of leader as both Dave and Derek were. From a qualification standpoint, again, we're sorting that out as we speak. I imagine this person's going to come from the sports world. I want them to have a strong track record for growing revenue, but also they need to have a breadth of experience and expertise to manage all of the business functions from HR, finance, legal, IT, all of that. And so, it's a special candidate that we're looking for. I think the relationship with me on both a personal and professional level is going to be really important because, as I said earlier, I do plan to be active and engaged in the business. I want somebody that complementary to strengths and weaknesses of mine and theirs. Somebody who's driven and decisive and communicative. And so those are the things we're looking for. I'd also say that it's not out of the question that somebody from within our organization can be elevated to this role. We've got a lot of talent in this organization. I don't think we're going to find ourselves in a situation where whomever takes this role it has to go through like a full organizational rebuild here. Because people like Dave St. Peter and Derek and Jeremy, they've done a great job of building out an organization of talented people.
Darren.
Tom, good morning. You brought up Dave St. Peter's name, so two-part. Will Dave have some sort of role moving forward? And what was the role of your new limited partners in this decision?
Dave's always going to have a role at the Twins. We could. I don't think we could kick him out if we wanted to, frankly. But listen, Dave's going to be a close advisor. He has been for the last 6 weeks. Been a close advisor to me, and I hope and expect that will continue. That being said, at some point we've got to let Dave go on his way and live the rest of his life, and we need to free ourselves of Dave, if you will, to some degree. So anyway, and then what was your question? Oh, on the limited partners. I informed them that this was the recommended course of action, and they are fully supportive.
Michael.
Hey, good morning, Tom. I want to make sure we're framing this right, and I get the release and what you've just said about a mutual decision. At the initial discussion phase, though, someone probably comes to somebody and says, either Derek's coming to you and saying, I don't think we can keep doing it this way, I got to get out of here, or you're coming to him and saying, I think we need to make a change. What was the kind of initial discussion in that regard?
Gosh, I wouldn't even. I mean, yeah, you're making it sound more interesting than it was. It was two people that were suddenly thrust into working together. Neither of us, frankly, expected that, if you will. And we took the time over the last 6 weeks to get to know each other personally and professionally, trying to learn how each other works, how each other thinks, and talking a lot about what's in the best interest of the Twins. And I think what we shared is a sense of urgency to be decisive about doing what's in the best interest of the Twins. And this was what we were decisive about. Obviously, that would indicate that there was not 100% alignment, but so be it. Like, I think this is best for both people and best for the organization. And Derek would say the same. I think he's ready for the next chapter of his life, personally and professionally.
We've got time for three more, and then I've got to get to Derek here. So we'll go with Declan, and then Dave, and then John. You can.
Hey Tom, I know you said you met with Twins players recently. You flew down and met with Byron and Joe, and obviously met with Pablo too. Were any of these conversations with those players about front office restructure, or was that completely separate from those conversations with those players?
Never touched on it. Well, sorry, never touched on it from my. They of course just shared their belief and how much they value Derek and Jeremy and the whole team. But no, there was never any conversation about the front office with the players.
Dave?
I was just wondering, Tom, what your conversation with Jeremy was like, just about informing him and how much he was a part of the discussion.
Yeah, Jeremy, like I said, we've got to know each other the last couple of weeks. We had a conversation, on this topic and specifically probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 days ago now. And we had a great conversation. I think you can all probably understand that, on one hand, this was a hard news to hear. I think it's obvious how much Jeremy respects Derek Falvey, giving him a chance and helping him grow into the position that he's in. On the other hand, Jeremy's really excited about the opportunity that he has in front of him. It's an incredible opportunity. And I couldn't be, we lucked out with Jeremy Zoll being in this position right now to be able to kind of have the continuity and stability in our baseball department. He strikes me as aggressive, decisive, very competitive. I think the personality that he has, combined with the experience working under Derek for the last however many years, and the balance of Derek, who's somebody who's process oriented and thoughtful, relationship oriented, highly intelligent. I think if Jeremy can take what his personality is and all the things that he learned from Derek, I think he's going to be really talented and do really well in this job, and I'm excited to see what he does this year.
Okay, last one for Tom and John. Take us home.
Yeah, just to go back to the very first question, the timing of this. When Dave St. Peter stepped down, there was a 4-month transition plan. We're at the point now where there's nobody in place. There's not a transition plan. There's nobody in place. You're just kind of figuring out what you're looking for. I just have to ask, why the urgency to make this change now, just before the season begin, as spring training's beginning, et cetera, as opposed to seeing a more gradual change to this?
Well, first of all, I don't think that there isn't a transition plan. There is a transition plan. There's a transition plan on the baseball side, which is complete continuity, and on the business side, we're going to work very quickly to find a new president of business. I'll engage in the meantime, like I have been the last 6 weeks. And we've got people that have been here a long time and have been in their roles a long time. So I don't think we're going to lose any ground. As far as the timing, my experience with these kinds of things is that there's never a good time. Anybody can always tell you, oh, you should wait until next month or next year or that, and whenever you get to that point, you always look back and say, oh, you know what? We should have done something about this earlier rather than later. And so I think Derek shared that same, thought, way of thinking that, if we're not 100% aligned, and we don't think that this structure and this partnership and all those kinds of things are in the best interest of the Twins, then we should both do something about it. And that's what we've done. We've put the organization first, something that Derek has always done and something that I'm committed to do going forward. And here we are.